Hedonism. Okay. We need to be hedonists. Now, I feel like I'm getting into my hedonism bag, into my hedonistic, hedonism, hashtag, I'm a hedonist and I'm proud. So basically, I watched a video on TikTok and it really inspired me last night to make like a 10-minute voice memo, because that's what I do. Like, if I don't have anyone to talk to, I will talk to myself about a topic. And that's why I started making like video form videos of me talking to myself, because like, who better to talk to than yourself? And also, this is a great way for me to just post on YouTube. Anyways, so I was watching this video of this girl on TikTok saying, like, to be good at sex, you have to be kind of gross. And I definitely agree. I feel like sex is one of the few places, maybe one of the only, no, not one of the only, but one of the few places you can be taboo and it is okay, because it is in a confined, consensual place. And I feel like because we're in a place of confinement that's controlled, I think when it becomes more taboo and it gets more gross, the sex is better. Like, I'm not here for clean cut sex. I'm here for sex that is animalistic, dare I say. I feel like it's funner that way. I feel like it's better when all inhibitions are let go of. But what exactly does this have to do with hedonism? Well, let me tell you. So, here's what I think. Obviously, hedonism is pleasure. Let me look up the actual definition so I'm not just saying shit. The pursuit of pleasure, sensual self-indulgence. Philosophy. The ethical theory that pleasure, in the sense of the satisfaction of desires, is the highest good and proper aim of human life. And I agree. Yes, I feel like we need to live a life of pleasure, and that only comes from all the systems being broken down and starting anew. But that is another conversation. Sticking just to like self-indulgence, just sticking strictly to self. I feel like I have been talking about pleasure since like the beginning of the school semester, and pleasure has just been this theme that has been in the back of my mind, just with like thoughts and things I've been thinking about, not necessarily things that I've been seeing in my life, but just something that I've been wanting to get to and I've been wanting to achieve, because I think that pleasure is the release of inhibitions. Like I was saying, I feel like pleasure comes from releasing yourself of the idea of like being cringe, or releasing yourself from the male gaze, the female gaze, just being perceived, releasing yourself of patriarchal standards, releasing yourself of social reproduction. I feel like you really just have to be your own person, be in your own lane, live in your own existence, not even care about what other people are doing. And that really comes from leaving your phone away. Like, our phones have literally become an extension of us. And because of that, we've also become an extension of other people too. That's why parasocial relationships are at an all-time high and even exist. It's because of the phone, because the phone has given us the idea that because we see so many people's lives, they are within arm's reach to us. They know me, I know them. Whole time they don't know me. Whole time I don't know them. So put the phone away. Put the phone down. And also, I feel like pleasure comes from being ugly. Truthfully, I do. Because when you live in an ugly, when you live in an ugly state of mind, you don't have to perform. I feel like when you live in an ugly state of mind, you don't have to think about people perceiving you, because like, okay, I'm already ugly, so who's looking at me? Who cares? And let's think about it in this metaphor. I was gonna say ballet dancers. That is something that you are perceiving, that I would be perceiving. Okay, but let's still think about it, right? So these ballet dancers, a lot of dancers, they're dancers for a reason, because they love it, because they like the feeling they get from their body moving. There's a release that comes with the body. I feel like especially if you are doing like, I was gonna say modern, but every part of dance has some sort of technicality to it, whether it be modern, whether it be contemporary, ballet, jazz, hip hop. It's all very technical. Even if one is more flowy than the other, it's all very technical. So, anyways, people are dancing because dancing provides a release. It provides oxytocin. Okay, this is something that I literally just learned about. Oxytocin is a chemical release that I think is more specific to females. Oxytocin is the pleasure chemical, and it comes from dancing. It comes from warm sensations, so like being by a fire, taking a warm bath, cuddling. It comes from singing, humming, those types of things. Oxytocin is released. It also comes from petting your dog or petting your pet. Oxytocin is released. So when we do see these dancers move, and we see them do these slow, beautiful rhythms and movements, there is pleasure being released from that. However, this is where the ugliness comes from. Let's think about a ballet dancer. She's dancing on point for hours and hours. When she takes them point shoes off, them toes is ugly. Them toes is chewed, okay? Toes are super ugly. And sometimes pleasure comes from an ugly place. Sometimes you have to sacrifice beauty to get to a place of pleasure, because it only comes when you release. There has to be some sort of release to able to please, okay? And that has really been my main theme. That has been something that I've been trying to connect for a long time now. I've made multiple TikTok videos, multiple voice memos, made a Substack that I have yet to publish, probably won't publish, but I've talked about pleasure like for the past 3-4 months. I've been talking about pleasure to myself and to my friend for the most part. But yes, I feel like pleasure can only come from when you release yourself, when you release yourself from just capitalistic patriarchal things. That is the only way I feel like you can live in a place of pleasure. Think of Frida Kahlo. I think I'm saying her last name right, I don't know, but she was ugly. She was ugly. Yes, she was. And her man was even uglier. And we're not going to get into the specifics of their relationship, because that man did treat her like dirt. But she was ugly. She knew she was ugly. And she did not give a fuck, because she was free. She was ugly and she was free. Okay? She wasn't even really ugly for real. She just had a unibrow. But she was ugly and she was free. And I feel like being ugly really just allows us the energy to be free. However, I did see another video where this girl was talking about being ugly, and she was like, of course, yes, ugliness doesn't exist, but the beauty standard does exist, so therefore there is there is the opposite spectrum of ugliness. And somebody in the comments was like, just like races really don't exist, it's a social construct. However, racism does exist. So if racism exists, races do have to exist. So I feel like in that instance, when it comes to ugliness and pleasure, I think ugly people are already they're ahead of the game. They're ahead of the game. Okay, these are all coming off the dome. I didn't write anything. I didn't do any of that. I just press record and I talk. But ugly people are already far ahead when it comes to hedonism because people aren't checking for them. So they can already live. They can already live in this place that's like free. When they actually free themselves and free their mind of the beauty standard, and like I said, patriarchy, then they can get to a point where it's like, yes, I am living in a place of pleasure. I am living in a state of happiness because I'm doing things that please me rather than trying to do things to obtain the pleasure of others to please me. You know, like, release also comes from releasing validation that we, because I know a lot of us do, that we get from others. And it's gonna take some time, but once the validation comes from within, it no longer matters. That's why I like hedonism, because it's really just about you. It's really just about yourself and how you move through life to make yourself happy, how you move through life to please yourself. It's not about pleasing others. It's about pleasing you at the end of the day. Now, back to what got me talking about this. Good sex can only stem from grossness, okay? The ugly, getting down, getting dirty, getting ugly in the sheets. When you're gross in bed, it makes for an otherworldly experience. But truly it does, because it's just like, you don't give a fuck. Like, it really genuinely is like about creating your own world, creating your own self-concept, creating, yes, your own world. Because at the end of the day, your perspective changes and makes everything. Like, perspective truly is everything. So if you live in a perspective that is attuned to you in a high vibrational sense, where it's like, you just no longer care about people's opinions. You no longer care about how you come off to others. You no longer care about tone policing yourself. You no longer care about being cringe. You no longer care about if you look good today. You know, if you shaved your mustache, if you shaved your eyebrow, if you shaved your underarms, if you're wearing a fucking bra. You no longer care about those things. In the bed, I really have to think about how I want to put this together. Okay, so I was talking about ballet, and I was talking about how ugly toes make for a beautiful presentation, right? Now, ugly toes make for a beautiful something beautiful. Ugly toes make for something beautiful. I don't want to use presentation because that, like, it denies the whole point of the conversation and everything I've been saying. But there's an episode of Sex Education where, I don't remember the girl's name, but I think her name is Ashley in real life, or it might be Ashley in the show. She's an Indian girl, and she was having sex, but she was scared about, like, her O face, and she was talking to the sex therapist, and the sex therapist was like, Why does it matter? Like, why do you care? Like, why is it that serious that you're like hiding your face from your partner, your significant other? And she's just like, I don't want to be seen ugly. Like, I don't want to be seen in that perspective, in that light, in that way. And the sex therapist is just like, okay, well, if it's really that serious to you, like, why don't you just make both of you guys ugly? And then, like, while they're having sex, their face is taped up to, like, make their face look ugly. And my thing is, I feel like if you make ugly faces, I think that just makes things more enjoyable, because then it's like, okay, well, I know you're enjoying yourself. I know I'm enjoying myself. And it doesn't add room for like misconceptions or getting things like wrong, because it's you're getting the visual. You are getting the visual of inhibitions being released through the ugliness, which provides pleasure. The look of pleasure through ugliness. And so it's like, okay, like I'm hitting the spot A, and I can tell because you look ugly right now. But it's also pleasing because I know I'm doing what I need to do to get things done, right? So I think if you want to get gross in the bed, go ahead and do that. And I feel like as women, it's also taboo for women to talk about, oh yeah, like I eat butt. I eat butt in the bedroom, or I'll suck my man's toes, or even like licking some balls. I don't know. But I feel like go ahead and do you. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and do that. And there should be nothing wrong with it. No, I'm not saying you need to tell everybody that you do that. But what I am saying is that you shouldn't feel wrong for wanting to do that. And if you do tell somebody, you shouldn't feel embarrassed about it either, because that's just what you want to do. And you do it. And you do it with, what's the word? Confidence. Yes. Being a freak and being a pervert, it requires you to be a little bit gross. It does. Moving forward, we all just have to live in our truth. It's okay to be a pervert. And maybe I am. And that's fine. And that's another thing that Frida did too. She said, I am a pervert. I am a bitch. I am ugly. Like, she said all of those things, and she didn't give a fuck. She didn't give not a single fuck. And she's a great artist. I don't know many things about her, but that's something that I do know. And I feel like she has made a name for herself living outside of those standards. Living outside of societal standards, she has made a name. And I think what most people don't realize is that if you want to be somebody, you're not going to be somebody by being everybody. You're going to be somebody by being your own person. Everyone's too scared to be their own person. Everyone's too scared to do things, to just hop off the bandwagon. Everyone's too scared to do their own thing. Every time I'm on TikTok, somebody's like, let's normalize putting cute clips in our hair. Why the fuck do we have to normalize that? Just fucking do it. Just do it. You need the whole world to do it so you can do it too? No, just do it. You don't have to worry about other people. Our society has gotten to that. It has gotten to, I need at least 10 other people doing this with me so I feel okay to do this too. It takes courage to be ugly just as much as it takes courage to be a bad bitch, just as much as it takes courage to speak publicly, just as much as it takes courage to make a video and post it online. Like, those things take courage. And I'm not saying when you have courage, this is going to be so chopped up because I hate even the thought of someone hearing me express my thoughts out loud. It's people that I know. That's what I hate. Anyways, so I don't even remember what I was saying before I cut it off. It takes courage to release yourself too. And that's the thing about courage. You're still doing something even while feeling constrained or constrained. Like being a bird in a bird cage, but the door is open, you know? Like, you're going to want to stay in that bird cage because it feels familiar, because that's what you're used to, because there is control there. It's a sense of control. That's all that familiarity is. Control, because you know what it is and you know what's going to happen. And so you stay in the bird cage, but having the courage to leave the bird cage, when you take them first flaps out that cage, even when you take them first flaps in the cage, it's like, whoa, am I really about to do it? And then you take those flaps and you get out of that cage, and it still feels heavy because it's like, now what? But the more that you do it, the more you start to feel like, yes, righteous. You feel righteous in your ability to do things for yourself and no one else. And that's why I am going to start living the life of a hedonist. Yes. Basically, I'm doing what I want to do for me. And I don't care if I'm labeled as a whore for it. I don't care if I'm labeled as a bitch for it. I don't care if I'm labeled as ugly. I don't care. Because it's not for others. It's for me. And honestly, those labels should feel like a Girl Scouts pins. You know when they get a pin every time they complete a goal or some shit? That's what those labels are going to feel like. Pins on my satchel. I just got called ugly bitch today. Hey, time to add a new pin. Hey, I just got called a whore. Time to add a new pin. Hey, I just got called a fucking ugly ass bitch. Time to add a new pin. Like, you know? So, wear it with pride. Because you know what they say. If you have haters, then you're doing something right. And that is true. Like, if you have haters, it's because you are a bad bitch. And like I said, it takes as much courage to be a bad bitch as it does to be ugly. I truly mean that. Truly mean that. Yes. And I saw a video on TikTok of this girl saying, bad bitches are going to be lone wolves. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm a bad bitch that's a lone wolf. And that's why I'm moving in a way that is so specific to me, because it's like, I'm free. I'm free. I don't have anybody that's holding me down. It's like that fucking SZA song, where she's like, in Far, in the beginning, she's talking to her therapist, and she's like, I keep getting rejected. And the therapist is like, that's great. If you're getting rejected, that means you're free. That means you're fucking free. You are not attached to anybody, meaning you don't have to move in a way that is considerate of them. All you have to do is move in a way that's considerate to you. Fuck those other people. Fuck them. Yes. Shout out SZA. She also has another song that I'm thinking about. It's like Not Today interlude. Get Behind Me interlude. And she's like, not today, Satan. No niggas are bringing me down. No bitches are bringing me down. Okay? I'm doing my own thing, period. And that's how I feel. So, this was just a lot of roundabout talking. Just saying whatever the fuck. But we get the overarching theme here. Right? Hopefully we do. I don't think I have anything else to say. But let's all be hedonists. Okay? Let's all be gross. Let's all be ugly. Think about your best eater. I'm sure he was getting real gross and real ugly. I'm sure he was. And I'm sure he went right back because no one else put it down like them. And that's why being gross and being ugly is equal to the utmost pleasure. Okay? Gross, ugly, equal, no inhibitions to utmost pleasure. Period. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, and I hope you enjoyed.